Hello, welcome everyone back to Fonte Show on Tough Talk with myself, Faustina Anyao. And today I have a remarkable doctor, medical doctor, Dr. Balashire, who will be talking on COVID-19. You know, at this point in time, there are so many misinformation, disinformation flying about COVID-19 all over the place, and we all are craving for the right information, the credible information. And today I'm proud to bring to you Dr. Balashire, who is going to tell us a little bit more on what we need to be doing, especially as African. Welcome, Dr. Balashire, to the show, Tough Talk on C Hub Magazine.
Thank you very much, and I thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir. Like I said in the beginning of this show, so many people are worried. There are lots and lots of information out there, which mostly are termed propaganda. Most are being censored by Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere. And people are not sure what is what. And as you can, as it should be, many people are worried and skeptical of any information coming out now regarding COVID-19. So it will be, can you tell people why they should listen to you?
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I'm Dr. Balashire. I'm a 1976 graduate of the University of Ibadan, University College, and which means I've practiced medicine for 40 years, 43 years now, okay, and counting. In fact, it will soon be 44, the Lord permitting. And early into my medical practice, of course, I graduated, and I now found out that most of the things that I learned in medical school, so many of it runs contrary to common sense, in the sense that we were not taught how to be healthy. Instead, we were just taught how you can take care of your body or what the doctor can do for you after, please note, after you have already damaged your body. But actually, we are not created to be visiting hospitals. The hospital should be for those who have damaged their physical bodies. Unfortunately, such people are in the majority now, anywhere on earth. But I began to look at what the privilege I had with my grandmother, very simple remedies. Maybe I have a running stomach, or I've eaten too much as a youth, and small children were apt to do. And she would say, oh, come. Maybe I ran home from the football field. You say, take this palm oil. And once I drink a teaspoon of it, it will just cool everything down. There were occasions when I had diarrhea or even severe abdominal pain. And she would simply grind charcoal and put it in some water and give me to drink. And within 5 minutes, it's as it works like magic, and I'm back to the field playing with my peers. So all this with my background, I knew that there was more to just nonsense and folklore to some of these things that our grandparents knew. Yeah. And so with that at the back of my mind, I began to let my colleagues know that, look, these things we were brought up with, they work. And of course, we have been brainwashed to believe that it is whatever comes from either the big pharma, the pharmaceutical industry, or from the white man that really matters. And that all these things our parents knew was simply nonsense. So it went like that. I tried to get them interested, but none of them will have it. And so one day I was amused, shocked, and dazed when Merck, Sharp, and Dome, one of the pharmaceutical giants, produced ultracarbon. Wow, ultracarbon. I said, ultracarbon, what is ultracarbon? And I read it, and it read on the label, 100% charcoal. 100% charcoal. Nothing was added. It was just grounded and pressed into tablets. And I said, wow, but my grandmother knew this. For goodness sake, she did not need any, she was not an illiterate, as we put it. But her nascent wisdom showed her that this thing was there all along. Now, it took the Onyibo man, sorry to use that word, it took the white man the effort now to press it into tablets before my fellow doctors will begin to respect it and prescribe it. So there has been a lot of brainwashing that goes on because of our inferiority complex and because of big pharma who have now dominated medicine and sort of discuss what you should prescribe and what you should not. So that is the background in which I'm coming into this discussion. So as soon as all the brouhaha about COVID-19 broke out, I decided to listen to my inner self, my inner voice, which has never failed me. Listen to your inner voice. There are two voices competing for attention in any human being. There is voice of the heart, which you feel, well, let me not go into details, and there is the voice of the intellect or the head.
Yeah.
And all the time, the voice of the heart, if you really learn to listen to it, never goes wrong. It is always the truth. But the voice of the intellect is what you have to now learn through research and say, this one said this, that one said that. Not to take too much of time, this is my background.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Balashire. Sorry, I got the pronunciation wrong. I was Englishnizing the name. I'm sorry about
Balashire. Balashire.
Dr. Balashire. Balashire, sorry. That sounds like Yoruba, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It actually means Balashire, which means the friend of the horse owner in Yoruba.
Yes.
The friend of the horse owner. And as you know, in those good old days, horses were symbols of wealth.
Yeah.
So it can also just be the friend of the wealthy.
Yeah. Okay. So it's so fascinating what you have said, because just about few years ago, one of my friends who is also a medical doctor here, Dr. Kem Ezilo, who she's also a medical doctor, and at one point in time, she decided to go into medicine without drugs, health without drugs. And when I saw that on your Facebook page, that really, made me, that really attracted my attention, because I worked with Dr. Kim, for a while in coaching and consulting people and stuff like that. And she used to teach people how to take care of their body. And I can attest to what you said now. It's almost the same thing she also was teaching people, how to take care of themselves. Now, going straight to the point of COVID-19. Now, there are so many narratives out there. Some people believe it's manufactured, some people believe it's natural, and and you've written extensively about it, your opinion on it. So I would like you to, enlighten us. What do you think about this COVID-19 coronavirus?
Thank you so much. COVID-19 is simply one of the coronaviruses.
Okay.
Now, viruses are actually non-living entities. So we have to get that right. So you cannot call something that is not alive, you cannot talk about killing the virus, as some people, even scientists say. They say they want to kill the virus. These viruses, most of them are already present in the human blood. That means as of today, if you have enough kids and you say 1,000 of them, will check, because there is hardly a human being on this planet that has not at one time or the other come in contact with the flu virus. Maybe except very newly born people. But all adults at one time or the other, we've had flu, which is just catarrh and so on. So this coronavirus is not in any way different from the viruses the body is already familiar with and which it develops immunity to from time to time.
So
So
what does
for whether it's flu,
okay? So if
whether
I'm
it is flu,
sorry to cut you so that we can make it interactive more.
okay, great.
If the virus is pre-present in the body and is not different from the common flu that you just said, why is it killing in numbers as it is now? Hanging. Have I lost you?
Beautiful question.
Uh, okay.
Which is a family of coronavirus. No doubt in my mind about it.
Doctor, come
They did
again. I lost you. I lost you in just a few seconds. That's the answer again, please. Sorry.
It was engineered in the lab. That is COVID-19.
Okay.
They modified a coronavirus.
Okay.
Okay. And well, let us leave aside the reason why they did it. But if I'm to be very blunt about it, they were developing it as a weapon of destruction, of warfare. But it's an experiment which has gone awry. It has gone wrong. And so they had to now put the blame on something when the problem started. But
Okay.
if we are able to get to it, the real problem is not even the coronavirus, even the COVID-19. It's not the real problem at all.
Okay.
The real problem has to do with 5G technology. And let me go on and explain. When the COVID-19 experiment went wrong in China, because they were doing, it was being developed in the United States, when scientists cried out that this is very dangerous, we should not be dabbling with nature in this way. So the government put a moratorium on such experiments. But a man, and I'm not afraid to call his name, named Fauci, who most people are not familiar with that name, who is very close to the corridors of power, released millions of dollars and took this experimentation from the US and gave it to the Chinese, who continued with the experiments.
Now, the Fauci you're talking about, is it the same Dr. Fauci that is in the task force with
Dr. Fauci? Exactly, Dr. Fauci, who you always see standing by President Trump when he's giving his briefings. The short man, that is Dr. Fauci. So he now released money to China to continue with this deadly experiment. When it went wrong, they had to quickly find blames for what was going wrong. And so they started postulating that it came from one animal market in Wuhan, then it went into a bat, from a bat to the animal into a human being. That is a process that will have taken 800 years of evolution. So that is not the reason behind COVID-19. The real reason, and we get to the root, that is what is on the surface, is that COVID-19 was manufactured for a purpose of, as a weapon of mass destruction.
Okay. Now, the internet, the network is a bit shaky. I hope I haven't lost you, Dr. Balashire. Yeah, network. Hello, Dr. Balashire. I think I've lost you. your network is not, you're not connecting properly. I'm going to wait a few minutes and see if we connect you again. Wow. If you're, Dr. Balashire was talking about, the origin of, um, the origin of, okay, Dr. Balashire, you're back. Okay, thank you. If you can continue with that, what you were saying about the origin of the, you were talking about the Dr. Fauci and Wuhan lab.
Yes. So they had to put the blame on something else.
Okay.
And so that was why they spun the story of the bat, and then from the bat to some mammal, from some mammal to a human being. And so that is their official narrative. However,
Okay.
what they have just described, a virus evolving in that way will take at least 800 years to evolve to the point of being able to infect a human being, which they have crammed. Are you still with me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
here.
They have short-circuited. So what is happening is it's all propaganda, and we are being fed by the official media, unfortunately, with lies. Now let's go to WHO. WHO
No,
is in the
sorry, Dr. Balashire. Before you go to the WHO, you made mention of 5G network. Now, how does 5G network connect with the engineering of the coronavirus?
Of the COVID virus. Excellent question. Now, what you need to understand is this. The 5G network actually helps in making the body susceptible, not only to viruses, but also viruses. And so with somebody who is being bombarded with the 5G network, the body becomes the armor, the immune system becomes weakened. So sicknesses and illnesses and viral infections.
Okay, tell me how,
COVID-19 and corona and the common cold. So what is happening is that when you 5G map of the world today, 5G, and of course, because of the weakened immunity of people there, it became manifesting as coronavirus, which they have now said is COVID-19. Now, the next place was northern Italy. And when they switched on their 5G, again, they started dying like flies. Check the statistics and the records. Then Spain followed. When Spain followed, the same thing happened in Spain. People started dying like rats. Then New York City followed. When New York City switched on their own, again, the mortality and morbidity in the US is highest in that state. Then California followed, California state, and the same thing happened. I think Chicago is about the third one. Now, let us come back to Britain. Britain was 1, 2, 3 cases and deaths. But on 1st of April 2010, they switched on their 5G in London. And again, as I speak with you, it's less than, I guess it's less than 2 weeks. Yes, it's less than 2 weeks. The death toll from so-called COVID-19 is now 3,500 plus and counting. So Iran, the same thing. The death toll is very high. Brazil, the same thing. So when you interpose the map of 5G network, okay, when you interpose the 5G network map with the so-called COVID-19 deaths and even the rate of infection, you find that they match perfectly. So it's as my people in Africa will say, or the Yorubas, the witch cried yesterday and the child died today. Who does not know that it is the witch that cried yesterday that killed the child? I'm just putting it very mildly and in a joking way. So the map of 5G coincides exactly with what is happening now. But
Okay.
they need to hide from us. So they invented what they call lockdown. Lockdown serves the purpose that you are indoors, unaware that these installations may be going on in your streets without your knowledge.
Okay. Now,
Because they know that people will ask questions.
Dr. Balashire, somebody will argue that in the 18, is it 19, I can't remember, I think 18 something, when the outbreak of
1918,
the influenza,
Spanish flu.
yes, the
Spanish flu, 1918.
yes. So it's recorded that there were over 50 million deaths from that pandemic, and there was no 5G then. So what was that about? What's the difference
Beautiful,
between Spanish flu and now?
beautiful question. Now, before we go to the difference between 5G and now, go back to your records for that 1918. Just do a little bit of research. It doesn't take much effort. Each time humanity have tried to be cleverer than their maker by way of technology, it has always boomeranged. So in 1918, it was radio waves that was unleashed on the world. Okay. And that is why the Spanish flu came. So in fact, even the Hong Kong flu was also linked with either radar. I cannot put them in the order now, but when you go to Google and you try to do your research, you will find that each time it corresponds with what was already in place. Now what is the difference?
To take you on that again, Dr.
What is the difference between 5G?
Sorry. Now the Spanish flu, the Spanish flu at one point ended and stopped, but we still had radio waves continued. So why did it stop, and why is it that the radio wave was still on? Up to today, we still have radio, and the that Spanish flu then, the pandemic ended. So what happened differently that made it to end, even though radio waves were still on?
Okay, excellent question again. Let me take you back to the fact that I said if everybody is tested now, at least 80 out of 100 will test positive for coronavirus. Okay. So the same thing, those who survived the flu already developed immunity. That is the Spanish flu now. Already developed immunity against it. So it was part of, let's call it human evolution. That is why it burnt itself out. But not without first killing the weak, the elderly, and the heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, stroke. Because they are that out of dying now, the youth are not too many. They are negligible because their body is still strong to fight off any of these things we are throwing at it in form of modern technology. That is why the Spanish flu burnt itself out. And the same thing is also happening now. Can I go to 5G and why it is happening now, or you have other questions?
Yes, I have other questions. Now, if
okay, great.
If what is reducing the let's say what is making people more susceptible is the presence of 5G, like you said. Now, why is it that people who work...
Are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you. Can you hear me, Doctor?
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Okay, now, so why is, if it's the 5G, presence of 5G that is making people's body more susceptible to the COVID-19, why is it that people, the healthcare workers, people who work, who take care of these patients, are dying in higher proportion, percentage, higher rate?
Okay, thank you. That's another beautiful question. Number one,
Okay.
Are you based in the US or UK?
I'm in the UK, London.
Okay. Okay, you are in London.
Yeah.
Now, visit any hospital.
Yeah.
Okay, I know this is true of the US and it's likely to be at least partly true of the UK too. Visit any hospital. You will not find it crowded with so-called COVID-19 patients. You won't. Okay, so that tells you that it is not COVID-19 that is killing people. Most of the wards are empty. Now, as to what is killing the medical people, some of them, one, age factor, like I said, they may be on the elderly side. Two, wearing of mask. These face masks they are compelling people to wear actually decreases the oxygen carrying capacity of the body. You try it, try to wear a mask, and you find that you are struggling with breath, and oxygen is the life wire of the body. Many people have died who are wearing masks. And what did they do? They were wearing face masks and they were driving, and somehow they suffered from reduced oxygen.
Dr. Balashire, yeah, continue. Yeah.
Okay, so people one can die from wearing even face masks. So it is advice to say wear face mask. Okay, that is one. So don't wear face mask because you will shortchange yourself in the process. Two, the lockdown that they are promoting is just a means to an end. It's not to allow you and me to see how the 5G towers, and when you really go down the street, they just look like lampposts. Okay, so they don't want anybody who will interfere with this installation that is secretly going on. So all the governments are knee-deep in all this deceit of the public. Even in the US, so many doctors have suffered because they were being asked to jack up the numbers.
Yeah.
And some of them were being threatened. Those who revealed this to the public have been censored and either banned on Facebook or YouTube, as you may have heard. So it is a war, it's like a warlike situation where the government wants to tell us that we are suffering from COVID-19, and whereas they know the truth that it is the 5G technology that is to blame for all these things. And let me tell you the next step. The next step is the vaccination. That is what they are working on. They want to vaccinate the whole world. And that is again based on money, that there is money in it. Billions of dollars are going to exchange hands. But what the public don't know is that vaccines are not subjected to any rigorous test. In medicine, we have what is known as the gold standard, which is double-blind, placebo-controlled studies. But these vaccines are not subjected to anything like that. They are simply forced down the throat of people. Why? Because in 1981, the US Congress passed a law that vaccine company.
Could you repeat what you said about the vaccine and the law passed in the US about vaccine?
Yes, in 1981 they passed a law that vaccines need not be subjected to any rigorous tests before they are given to the public. That is one. To make matters worse, they now even added that you cannot sue a company for damages when you have when your child has been damaged, either having autism or one neurological problem or the other. You can't sue. So they are protected by law, which they passed in Africa, as I would say in Yoruba, through Wuru Wuru. And then now they are now saying, holy cow. You see, instead of testing a drug for 5 years before you can now, through animals, through cells, through animals, then trials on human beings, this one, you just force down the throat of people. And maybe they go to hell because you cannot even sue them. All this rubbish, which actually damages. Faustina, I can tell you that in Africa, some French doctors smuggled themselves to Guinea and to Congo. Please check it out. And the people they vaccinated have all died. So they ran away to prevent themselves from being lynched. This COVID-19 that they are saying they will come and give
Now,
us in Africa, it's
okay.
been illegally tested already in Africa.
Now, Dr. Balashire, now that you've brought up the topic of vaccine and Africa especially, I want to ask, now as a medical doctor, in Nigeria, we have a medical association of medical doctors like NMA and other bodies that regulate medicine and advise the government as well. So how is it that all the doctors in Nigeria, are keeping quiet, or the national body for medical doctors are not doing their own independent research to come up with their own narrative and advice for the government, or at least for advice for the public?
Okay, thank you so much. The answer is in two parts. So remind me if I fail to go to the second part. One, being a medical doctor does not necessarily mean that you know all the facts. Like I said, our training in the old mold.
Come again, your training as a doctor.
Yes, already prejudices us to believe that all diseases are caused by germs.
Okay.
That is bacteria, fungi, viruses, and so on. And that for every disease, there is a gun, a bullet to fire at it, which these petrochemical drugs are all about. So it is not a very easy thing for a doctor to make that U-turn and now be able to focus and believe that, no, this doesn't agree with common sense. That's the first one. The second one is that, remember that when the Chinese were flown into the country, before they came, the NMA protested vehemently and said, what are they coming to do? What are they coming to do? This thing, managed by Nigerian doctors, is under control till I permitted them to land. And it was only Lagos state government that had the courage to. Okay, so they have been restricted to Abuja, and I'm sure with time they will be distributed to other states that will welcome them. But the NMA, the government doesn't listen to any advice given by the NMA. All these decisions are based on politics, unfortunately. So it was a political move, and the government knows where it is going with this so-called COVID-19. They are going towards vaccination. And as I speak with you, in case you don't already know, the House of Representatives is already debating it, sponsored by the Speaker himself, saying that it's known as vaccination bill. And in that bill, it's written that the Inspector General of Police will be empowered to ensure that total compliance with vaccination, and that he's allowed to do whatever it takes, whatever is necessary to make sure that people comply. What does that tell you? It means these people can come to my house, surround me, surround the house, and say, where is the evidence that you have been vaccinated? And if I cannot show proof, they will simply pin the person down and forcefully vaccinate that person, because you'll be told that you are now a danger to the public. So this is the problem and the situation we are in. It may look far-fetched, but let me tell you, it is akin to a helpless baby, where we are heading to now, a helpless baby, and you force its mouth open and pour maybe Izal or a germicide down his throat. Even Bill Gates, who is sponsoring all these vaccines, was admitted that about 1 billion people will die from these trials. 1 billion people, for goodness sake. And he's so amoral that to him, that is no news. just like people will start falling from like purple. When they finish installing in Nigeria, the 5G, as they have done elsewhere, people will start dying. Then they will say, oh, you see, we asked you to stay in.
So you were saying something about when they finish installing 5G in Nigeria and stuff like that.
Yes, yes, and all over, they will release people from the lockdown. Then and switch on their, of course, they will switch on their 5G and release people from the lockdown. Now then people will now start dying by the hundreds and thousands. Okay, then when that happens, they will say, you see, you people, we asked you to stay indoors, but you are complaining. Now you have seen what COVID-19 can do to you, but don't worry, there is now a vaccine. And what do you think will happen? People will drop out and innocently present themselves for vaccination, not knowing that they have signed their death warrant with this. Are you still with me?
Yes. Now,
Okay.
now that we've come back to 5G network, now you were telling me how the connection between 5G and COVID-19.
Okay. Okay. Right now, at least in Nigeria, we are still on 4G. The 4G is dangerous. It's not that as if it is safe, but well, it is dangerous, and I have proof of it. There's even an experiment I do to my patients. When they hold their phone, their strength, it's known as strength resistance test, decreases. But when they let go of their phone, it comes back to normal. So it's not as if the 4G is useless, but the 5G is like 100 to 1,000 times stronger than the 4G. It is akin to putting your head in a microwave oven, because you are going to be bombarded with all these rays coming 100 meters apart in all our cities. So it is far, far more dangerous. It is far, far stronger, and actually has the effect of not allowing the body to be able to take enough oxygen. So that is the danger of the 5G, which they don't want me and you to know, or the public to know. And that is why they are rushing and fast forwarding all these things and working to the answer, which is the ultimate goal of getting the whole world vaccinated. Of course, billions of dollars are involved.
Now, I get the 5G now.
Yes.
At the beginning, we said that COVID-19 is engineered. So how is it presenting in the body? How, can you explain how does the COVID-19, how does it affect the body?
Beautiful. The COVID-19 affects the body like any flu. So it will cause runny nose. That is the let's say the coronavirus. Let's start with coronavirus. It will cause flu-like symptoms, runny nose, cough, which is usually dry, and maybe some other symptoms. Okay, that is than the regular flu season. So for everybody that gets the coronavirus, 1 out of 1,000 will die. 1 out of 1,000, not 1 out of 100. And that 1 out of 1,000, most of the deaths will occur in the elderly. Why? Because their immune system is already weakened, has been battered through the ages. Wrong diet, wrong eating, wrong drinking, not absorbing the rays of the sun, care of the body that is required for a healthy functioning immune system. It's lacking. 2, majority of those who will die will also come from the group who already have a pre-existing medical condition. Are you with me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, doctor, I'm
Are
here.
You with me? Yes. So pre-existing medical conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, stroke, cancer, asthma, and so on. So these are the people who are just like the same thing with the flu. These are the people who are mostly at risk of dying. So even that 1 in 1,000, even in northern Italy, it was the elderly that was most affected. So there is nothing to fear about the coronavirus. Now the COVID-19, because it's engineered in the lab, may be more deadly a little. But even then, people can still cope with it without the 5G technology. It's like stroking the fire. It's like pouring petrol on a fire, and you say you are putting it out.
Okay.
Of course, it will flare up.
Now, there's a narrative going on now, especially in the US and in the UK. They are pushing very hard in the media and government official information that black people, that black people are dying more from COVID-19, and on my own, when I was looking at it, I said Black people are minorities in these two countries and also are majority in Africa. And the rate of deaths in Africa, where Black people are majority, is not even in equilibrium with what is happening here, where they are only about 1 or 3% of the population. So what is happening? How can you explain that?
Very easy to explain. One, I hope their statistics is correct and that they are not just skewing figures to favor the answer they want. So let us grant them the benefit of the doubt. Now, if you look at a Black person in the UK vis-a-vis a white person, the white person is likely to enjoy, that is on it's possible that in the UK, more of the homeless people may be Blacks or people with Black roots. So that doesn't mean that because competing on a level playing ground with the whites. The same thing in the US. So, and you have rightly asked the correct question. If it is because of their the color of their skin or something else, then why are not people dying in Nigeria, in Tanzania? Why are more people not dying? Where even the Blacks are more concentrated in Africa, in this continent. So that will even already tell you that what they are deducing from all this cannot be correct.
Okay. So hello, Dr. Balash. You were just saying about
Correct.
whatever they were trying to deduce from those figures is wrong based on that comparison with African population of Black people and population of Black people in the Western world. So if you can continue from there.
Okay. So the ultimate goal is actually to use Africa as a testing ground.
Yeah.
So please note that 75% of the arable land, that is land that can be used for agriculture, is located of the whole world. 75% of arable land of the whole world is located in Africa. Now, the Chinese are overpopulated and they don't have arable land to take care of. They are importing food anyway, even from the US as we speak now. They cannot feed their population by homegrown food. So Africa presents itself as a gold mine, which these Chinese and the white races want to take over and begin to use for farming purposes. Forget about our natural resources, which of course they will also exploit to their own advantage. So that is what is happening. That is why they are Bill Gates and his, I'm sorry, I don't want to use bad language, but and his group, Fauci and co on, that is why they are shouting that, oh, there will be dead bodies strewn throughout the streets of Africa. They want to come and do a second recolonization because a few countries are still struggling with the first. Now they want to take over the continent. When they have killed us with their vaccine, they will now move in and do the agriculture and mine our resources free of charge. And to make matters worse, we have Africans who are collaborators in this scheme, who are in government positions, who, I won't say, well, who want to give them money. Yes, that is our so-called leaders. Our so-called leaders are also part and parcel of the scheme, because the white man knows that the black man, I'm a black man, but they are right, dead right on this. The black man, the typical black man, is always after money. He loses reason when he sees money. And so our leaders are not different. Once they have been given millions of dollars to share, billions in this case, they will permit people like me to be exterminated without any problem. So that is the danger we are all in now. We are heading slowly but surely towards compulsory vaccination. And the vaccination is a useless thing, it's a very dangerous thing. If it were just useless, no problem. But it's very dangerous because it has not been tested. Vaccinations have been exempted from rigorous testing. All this starting from the US in 1981. So this is the situation that we find ourselves in, and they are coming to inherit. That is a second wave of colonization, which is recolonization. They are going to recolonize Africa if nothing happens. And we have to be able to stand up and say no.
Yeah. Dr. Balashire, thank you so much. We are coming to the end. I don't want to, hold you any longer. But before we go, I read something where you said you worked in the Wuhan lab some time ago. Is that correct?
No, not me. It was one professor that said he worked in Wuhan lab.
Okay.
And he now revealed the secrets, okay of what really went
on there.
It was a professor, a Japanese professor. But then they came out and said, oh, that story is false. That story is false. You trust Nigerians. Everybody was saying that story is false. How did they know it was false? Because his assistant went on the air to say that Professor XYZ never said anything like that. And I said, look at these people. If something grave like this is going on and it is false, why on earth would you not expect the professor himself to run another video? After all, he did a video to show what was happening. Why can't he do another video to say, oh, I'm sorry, it's not me? Why must it now be delegated to his so-called assistant to now educate the world? So they are fighting tooth and nail to suppress the truth, censoring doctors like me who know the truth of what is happening, banning them from Facebook, even taking away their jobs, those who refuse to inflate the figures so that they will be justified in everything they do. Is really, really a bad story for Stina. And we hope, well, I'm an African, I've started to put my hope in the Almighty to save us from these hawks.
So, Doctor, can you quickly tell our listeners now what can they do to manage? People are scared. How can you allay the anxiety? What can people do to manage themselves if for any reason they are told they have COVID-19?
Thank you very much. The first thing is, don't be afraid. Fear not. Fear not. The people know that the average human being, when you mention death, he starts to shiver. And that is what they are playing on. They are simply playing, oh, there is a monster called COVID-19 out there. You step out, it will get you, and you are dead. So people are afraid. I want to leave this message, fear not. COVID-19 is not any more dangerous than the regular catarrh or what we call influenza that you have from time to time. In some places, once a year, in some environments, more than once a year. So there is no need to fear. Don't agree to the lockdown. It is a means to an end. The lockdown does not do anything. Don't agree to wear a face mask. It simply cuts down you wear a mask, does air not pass through for you to breathe? It does, of course. And wearing a mask, the virus, whether COVID or not, any virus, is 1/1,000,000th of a time the pus you find in a mask. So it is completely even ineffective. Wearing a mask is like leaving your door open and saying, oh, mosquitoes cannot enter. That is the logic. It's even worse than that, because you know that flies and mosquitoes can enter an open door. So don't listen to all this advice. Don't listen to WHO, because they are in the pocket of Fauci, the Chinese, and Bill Gates. So they are there to misinform you and misadvise you. But people think this is a global body. So these are the things: eat correctly, drink good water, eat the correct type of food, stay in the sun, take your walk, trekking, and many of these things, and you'll be fine to go.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Balashire. It's been an enlightening, chat with you, and we'll be happy to be in touch with you again. And I would like to thank you so much from us on our C-Hub magazine. I was thanking you for all the enlightenment and the information you're giving out, so that people are more, get to hear more. So thank you so much for agreeing to this interview, and I hope that a lot of people will, get, very valuable information from it.
Thank you, Faustina, for having me. It's been a pleasure all the way. Please, and I'm happy about people like you who are trying to look at both sides of the coin, so that people can get the best, or rather people can get the truth. And like the Holy Book says, ye shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, sir.